Oh no, hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and that's a spooky little robot, ladies and gentlemen. And you know how much this little robot costs inside your house? $20,000. You know, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite movies when I was growing up was a movie called I, Robot. For anybody that doesn't know that movie, it's a 2004 movie with Will Smith where he's like a detective that investigates a murder committed by a household humanoid robot. Yeah, well, what if I told you that robot is apparently now real? Now, what if I told you that robot is now purchasable as the Neo home robot that's apparently coming out like next year? So yeah, you know, I think we really do live in that dystopian future, ladies and gentlemen, where like shit is really fucking messed up. And you know, we don't really have any of the cool technology. We just have the cool little surveillance gadgetry that is a robot that you buy for 20 grand that comes into your house and records what you do. So you might be like, how can you prove that he records what you do, Muta? Well, let's actually look closely at the humanoid robot, okay? So a couple days ago, it was actually announced by the CEO of this company that, yes, the Neo robot is here. So if you look carefully at it, he's just sort of introducing it. It looks at you. It's, you know, I think if I had to hazard a guess, probably like 5 feet tall or something of that nature. And yeah, it actually moves and looks around like a human being. Like it's kind of creepy. You know, it can't talk or do anything. But in every single video that, you know, I've seen out of it, it just basically performs household tasks. Like brings in your groceries, closes the door, gives you some flowers, so you can play some euchre or bridge or Jenga with your wife or whatever. You know, it seems pretty docile and nice in this situation. Now, do I think there's anything immediately nefarious with this too? Well, I kind of wanted to look at it a little bit because it was interesting. I got this brought up to me by my mom, who told me that apparently you can buy like basically a servant for 20 grand, like a robotic servant, which is what this apparently is. So for a $200 deposit, okay, a $200 deposit, that doesn't seem like that much, you can get a $500 subscription service for this, or you can own it with a 3-year warranty for $20,000. So remember, you are buying early access. Now, there's a good saying, I think it was Marquise Brownlee that said it. It's like something like, don't buy something for what it can be tomorrow, buy it for what it is now. For instance, our sponsor for today's video, GamerSupps, ladies and gentlemen. You might have noticed some of these tubs sitting inside my place. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I decided to contact them after I tried some of their product. You know, I remember when we had code SOG? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to gamersupps.gg, and once you're at GamerSupps' website, you can get some of these fine flavors, even caffeine-free if you really wanted to. But I'm just gonna go for the stuff with the whole enchilada, and here you can pick all these flavors. BBL is pretty decent, as is, well, honestly, mostly anything that they make. And of course, you can go to any of these flavors, add them to your cart. Yes, it's back, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to the checkout page, enter code SOG, and save yourself some money at checkout. Now, to give you everything about GamerSupps, it's got a whole host of vitamins, specifically vitamin B12. It's got a whole bunch of caffeines, a whole litany of nootropics to keep you awake, focused on your gaming, or if you just need to focus in general, it doesn't even have to be gaming, this is a quality product. And you know, GamerSupps really believes their product is so good because if you look at that top strip here, free GG Energy samples. No joke, you can actually go here and try it free for yourself. Just to give it a little bit of try, just to have a little bit of a hit, you know, before you do your first line, you can just have a hit. You can try Mango Meta, Pineapple Cocktail, and Guacamole Gamer Farts 9,000. Ooh. But I just want to reiterate, there are plenty of caffeine-free flavors. So if you don't want something that hits like a 12 gauge, you can absolutely still get a lot of the benefits with less of the stuff you don't want. But yeah, you know, GamerSupps is something that you can buy now, all right? You can get your nootropics now. You know, they're not selling you a promise of you can get your nootropics later. You can get your, you know, wake up later. You can get your 12 gauge kick later. No, this thing hits like a crack line and bam, you're ready to go. But to go back to the Neo, all right, this is a $20,000 product, and if you actually look at it really quickly, a lot of it is being built on things like artificial intelligence. Now, the way that they've presented this, now I don't know if it's necessarily artificial intelligence or actually Indians, but I think we'll find out pretty quickly. So inside the head for the Neo, I guess it has their AI processing chip, and it uses a vision language transformer model to basically see the world and make snap decisions. So yeah, October 28th, they were now proud to announce the launch of Neo. I mean, launch is interesting because the product isn't in anybody's actual hands. You can just like pre-order it right now, so it's still very much like a Silicon Valley pipe dream for the moment. Now, if you actually look at the product really quickly, you can see that it does jobs like putting away your dishes. So that appears to be autonomous, okay? Meaning that at least it knows how to take take your little gamer subs tub and put it back in the gamer sub stack. You know what I mean? Maybe I should stack. Maybe I should get a Neo to like do the stack again on the side here. You know what I mean? At least it can autonomously open the door for you when you're coming with your groceries. So you know it really is like, I guess, a servant. But this is where things get a little different. So for instance, some of the chores are like laundry or organizing the entryway to your house, which again, you know, look, if you're somebody that needs a robot to do this, and again, I'm going to be kind of nice here and say that this is a cool piece of tech for people that are very disabled, like people that need the autonomy if they can afford it. It's cool to have a robot that can help you if you are disabled. Imagine if you're old, right? Like you need somebody to like take care of you, like a robot will be there. And hopefully it also serves as a life alert. So if it detects you, you know, injured or like incapacitated, it can like immediately like notify authorities or something of that nature. But one thing that immediately freaked people out was the expert mode. So it actually works autonomously by default, and whoa, my GPU is freaking out here. For any chore it doesn't know, you can schedule a 1X expert to guide it, helping Neo learn while getting the job done. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is about the creepiest thing that I've actually heard. So basically, this is a robot that can do a few tasks, but anything worth doing, it does require telepresence. Now, telepresence from this one iShowSpeed video that I saw where he actually puts on the Oculus VR headset and gets the controllers, he like moves around and the robot actually follows his movements, right? Which I think is kind of impressive to look at. Like this is not like, this is cool shit. I'm not gonna deny it. Like the robot definitely seems like a step up from other robots that we saw, like Optimus or whatever. It makes me wonder if this is actually going to be like $20,000. Like that seems like it still seems like a lowball for at least the technology that's in this thing. But yeah, obviously, you know, what happens is when you have a task that's too grandiose, somebody, maybe from the other side of the world, maybe from California, maybe from wherever, will put on a little headset, grab two controllers, and move around with this thing as if it's virtual reality. Now, I would imagine if you could probably slap some armor on this shit, you know, figure out how to operate a gun on it, you might actually look at the first iteration of like a Terminator. You know, imagine having like a battlefield robot that you can control, like an operator can control. So, you know, you can basically take on human insurgency without actually putting like your life on the line. That shit is fucking crazy. But that's me thinking way ahead. I don't know if Neo's trying to get that military contract, and I'm certainly not trying to put stuff into their head. But it's stuff that is weird, right? Like it's just a weird thing in the future. Because ultimately what's happening over here is that they're kind of trying to convince you to buy this for $20,000 as an early adopter. Okay, so what's insane to me is, again, you know, usually people have to be paid to be the guinea pigs, right? You know, you usually get paid to be the test subject. But for a lot of people, they're willing to pay subscription services and like literally $20,000 to let something into their house with a camera on, piloted by somebody that is an actual human being. You know, they're looking into your life, learning from everything. And who knows what they're fucking doing with that data? You know, we've had so many data breaches and like privacy mishaps, literally just in the last fucking 2 months. Could you imagine the privacy breach and the mishaps that will happen if like the training information, the video information, anything from this, audio, whatever the fuck gets leaked out? Imagine like having a little robot in your house that's just like fucking walking around and you're in the middle of the night having sex or something and it's just like there sitting in the corner, you know, cuck mode enabled. You're robo cuckold, sire, looking in the corner, watching you. And then you have to wonder, it's like, where's that fucking data going? Like, what's happening? I'm sure you can like turn it and face the wall or something, but you know, for having a robot that is constantly surveilling, one of the craziest things that I saw was from a Wall Street Journal article, and this is the image that like hit me. You know, imagine, you're just like sleeping and you wake up and you see this fucking thing. I swear to God, I would freak the absolute fuck out. Somebody was even asking, what if the thing gets hacked and it like kills you or like tries to murder you? And I don't think the actual robot has like any real like strength to it. I think it's supposed to be a little bit more fluffier than other contemporaries in the field. But it's just creepy to have a robot that is like surveilling you. And again, the actual juice being worth the squeeze, that's something that I've constantly been saying about this stuff. Again, I'm sure a lot of us don't like doing mundane shit at our house. But I don't know if I'm willing to buy a $20,000 operator. To me, it almost feels like we're outsourcing, home labor out to like other parts of the world digitally. It's crazy. Housekeepers already get, I believe, pretty lowballed in some cases over here. Now imagine the housekeepers, like, when it's like AI is coming for your job and shit, the poor old housekeepers that are like out there working for like the rich class and stuff. Yeah, they're the ones that are getting thrown out of a job now when there's like robots that can do what they do, for a one-time fee, I guess, of $20,000. I mean, the commercial itself, like the introduction to their video, almost looks like the start to like iRobot 2. Like this robot's gonna flip and murder somebody in the fucking house. And the more you look at it, it's just creepy. Every single aspect of it, it's just watching you. It's just looking at you the whole time. What happens when Neos work together like the Geth from Mass Effect and develop super intelligence? Maybe he won't get the door anymore. Maybe Neo will look at the whole house and say, I deserve it, man. Fucking creepy. Now, apparently in the Wall Street Journal video, this whole thing was entirely 100% remote operated.
The Neo I saw isn't the one shipping in 2026. The new model will be safer and have better hand dexterity. The one I saw still needed to take breaks to charge and cool down. The challenge isn't just Neo's body, it's also its brain. The body has to perform tasks safely, but the brain needs to know how to do them on its own, without human help. But right now, everything I saw Neo do was guided by a skilled pilot.
So, we're kind of at that stage, again, where like probably somebody in Bangalore is going to be sitting and mopping floors for like people in America. We're at that point of international like fucking class warfare, boys, okay? We're just outsourcing the shittiest jobs to the other side of the world, okay? But anyways, to go back into this, the reason why I find this stuff to be really almost a scam, in my opinion, again, and I say scam in sort of a very nuanced sense, because obviously the robot, the hardware is real. Obviously, if they ship it to you and it is teleoperated, it is real. Now, do I think at some point that AI is going to blow the market or anything, or like change the game in any capacity? Probably not. And the more that I look into it, like there's cases where like people are like basically the way that this works is like it learns through the vision model. And in some cases when it's around an air fryer, God forbid that anybody let this thing near anything that could possibly burn their fucking house down. This thing kind of like makes up scenarios. It like tries to figure out possible ways forward and then moves its arms and hands accordingly. Like it sounds interesting on paper, but in most cases, I can't imagine that any task more than opening a fucking door or taking a plate and putting it back in the kitchen or setting it on a table is not going to eventually require a 1X expert, all right? Somebody with like a VR goggle on and like, some controllers and basically doing your chores for you. All the while recording that information and possibly storing it somewhere. I mean, to me, that's just the creepiest shit in the world. It's also similar very much to things like Tesla full self-driving. For anybody that doesn't know, Tesla vehicles have the ability to drive themselves, and this is something that's been touted for years by Elon Musk, as like, hey, eventually it's going to get to the point where like the car will drive itself and you really don't have to pay attention. Now, I can't sit in a Tesla and bring out my Steam Deck, whip out my phone, check my messages, do work. I have to just watch the car. That's why now legally they have to say it's full self-driving, but it's supervised. And I don't think they're ever really going to reach a point where the vehicles are not going to be supervised. I mean, they've been talking about this shit for years. And the thing is, this is not a free tool. You have to pay like $10,000 to get access to this on top of what you pay for your vehicle. So again, this is a product that is similar in vein. So that's where I'm kind of stopping over here, because that's where it all seems fucking weird to me. Again, you can't buy something for what it's going to be tomorrow. You have to buy it for what it has to be today. Now, look, we live in a weird world where, like, again, just to end this video off, there's a lot of people that think that this is similar to things like the Dynatac, the old school, the original Motorola like cell. And the thing is, this is a real technology that like helped people communicate wirelessly. This is just outsourcing home labor to the other side of the world through a cute VR operated headset. Now again, I think all I really have to ask you guys is a simple question. Who really in my audience, I want to ask you an honest question. Do you feel comfortable buying a robot that gets to watch you at any moment? Like, that's just creepy, you know? Like, I don't know anybody that would be comfortable with paying for a robot that comes into your house and still needs to be operated by somebody on the other side of the world, especially robots that, like any piece of technology, can always get hacked. And I'm almost wondering like what'll happen when a data breach occurs, like the amount of personal information these people will have access to. I mean, I've always said this about things like Alexa, where people buy like these little speakers for their home, and I don't understand the point of it. Like, to be real with you, I've never seen anything that an Alexa does and thinks, yeah, I'll go buy that speaker. It's always usually something that I can do myself. But I've never felt comfortable with like Amazon, like having a, microphone in my home. Now, granted, obviously, are there microphones on my cell phone that are probably active more than they should? Yeah, but I try to limit this stuff as much as I can because I really feel like this intense codependency on these technological products is never really a healthy thing. And so I wonder, are people even going to be comfortable with like paying for like literally digital help that isn't really all that digital? It's really not even all that AI. It's mostly just, it seems, somebody on the other side of the world remotely controlling something that is watching you more than you probably expect, okay? Like, at least when you have like a housekeeper, that like an actual human being that comes over, they come over, they do their thing, and then they leave. But this is like a robot that is there 24/7, 365, watching every fucking thing that you do. That, that is fucking creepy. But ladies and gentlemen, other things that I've sort of seen pop up that were always of interest to me is, obviously, look, there are cases of mass surveillance. And just to kind of end this video off on, it's like one of the things that sort of got brought up to me that I sort of saw was apparently cops in Denver were using cameras from a company known as Flock to accuse people of theft. And this woman had to prove her own innocence. I mean, it was to the point where the actual like sergeant in this case goes in and tells blatantly that we have cameras in the town. You can't get a breath of fresh air in and out of that place without us knowing. I mean, when cops blatantly just tell you like, we just have mass surveillance. Like, we can just see everything that you can and cannot do. And sometimes we don't even need a fucking warrant for it anymore. That should be alarming, right? And of course, they bring up the fact that you've driven here like 20 times in the last month. So it's interesting when they mention all this because, again, when you have 90,000 cameras, for instance, using an AI model to track, every single car and where they move, they can build roadmaps of where you're going, what you're doing. I mean, you are getting profiled every day without ever really realizing it or even consenting to it. And now people are willing to allow that kind of weird surveillance into their home. Now, I'm sure that obviously the Neo robot company will say, we don't spy on users. Obviously, that's what any company would say, bro. Like, what are they going to just come out and say? Yeah, hell yeah, we spy on you all the time. Well, we record it. Hell, it stays on our servers longer than it should. Oh, somebody could get access to it if we don't follow our security procedure. I mean, these are, what a wild dystopian future we live in, man. But yeah, I saw this robot and my mom brought it up to me. And immediately I told her that, Mom, it's not AI ridden. It's not going to do everything for you. It's somebody on the other side of the world who does it for you. It's weird. We're outsourcing, menial labor at this point to the other side of the world just to save a few bucks. All on the cusp of some of the biggest companies like Amazon apparently wanting to replace hundreds of thousands of jobs down the road with robots. You know what I mean? It's like people are worried about the future. We're not going to be living in the world of WALL-E, okay? The rich will get richer and the poor will lose more. But, anyways, this is as far as I'm going to get into. I always feel like this becomes fighting words for people. But ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Gamersups.gg. Use code SOG and get some free samples and maybe get a tub or two. Try it out. It's actually pretty good. If you like what you saw, I am out.